Here's a question for you. Where does the tradition of a Christmas tree come from? I just bought my own Christmas tree yesterday, and I love this very simple tradition that creates this Christmas time vibe instantly. But not a lot of people know how it all started. In fact, decorating your own living space with boughs of evergreen plants is a much older tradition than the Christianity itself. It seems people already in the ancient Egypt, for example, they celebrated winter solstice because to them, when the days got shorter and the sun wasn't shining so intensely, it meant that the god of sun, called Ra or Re, was weak and ill, so they celebrated that time because they knew he was going to get stronger, and when the spring will come, they will raise crops again and the plants would thrive. So they would already back then in ancient Egypt decorate their own houses with green elements of palm. Now in other cultures, especially the evergreen plants, they seem to be universally quite symbolic. You see, all of the life disappears, the leaves fall off, but not the evergreen. These are, as the name suggests, evergreen. They often symbolize the victory of life over death. And it seems it was almost universal for many cultures to decorate their houses or the doorstep with boughs of evergreen plants. They did that in ancient Rome. It also carried on to the medieval period, when people would decorate their houses with boughs of evergreen plants to keep away the dark forces, keep away the devil and illnesses, for example. Okay, but at what point do we see the connection between the evergreen plant and Christianity? It seems it starts in the 16th century in Germany. There was a famous play about the paradise and Adam and Eve, and it seems that the trees were used there as props to symbolize the paradise. So they were first decorated with things like apples, for example, and these were not Christmas trees at that point, these were paradise trees. And so quickly it developed into a little tradition to have a little bit of paradise at home, and every Christian would actually get a small evergreen tree and decorate it with apples. Now that would be a very sacred object, the tree. But they would also have this kind of a bit more jolly counterpart. That would be a wooden pyramid, Christmas wooden pyramid. That's something we don't really do today, but it would be a pyramid constructed out of wood. There would be boughs of green trees added, and they would be decorated in a bit more jolly manner with some sweets and treats, and also candles were very popular because it just looked very pretty. Now, it seems with time these two objects merged into one, into a Christmas tree. That was, of course, a tree that was decorated in a bit of a more jolly manner, so to speak. But at the time, Christmas tree was not a thing outside Germany. It was only really a German tradition. So what happened then? Already fast forward to the middle of the 19th century, and the Queen Victoria of England. Oh yes, she was great, and she was really popular by the people. So if Queen Victoria did something, it became instantly extremely fashionable and everybody wanted to do the same thing. And of course the husband of Queen Victoria was the German Prince Albert. When he traveled to England, he wanted to continue his tradition of decorating a tree every year at Christmas. So he did, and in I think 1848 in London News, a famous sketch appeared with Queen Victoria and Prince Albert standing next to a tree and decorating it, and all of the kids would join as well, and there would be millions of very small and cute decorations on the tree. And at that point everybody wanted to do the same because the Queen had the Christmas tree, so we need to have that too, they thought. So in England, in all of the Europe really, that quickly spread out and everybody wanted to have a Christmas tree. Now, a little bit different story was with America, because all the way to the middle of the 19th century, people thought this is some kind of pagan tradition, we don't want that here. And the Puritans even tried to ban all of decorations for some time. But it seems that the German settlers, the German origin settlers, they continued to do that and the idea took over. On the East Coast also some people were influenced by the style of Queen Victoria, so they also adapted this idea. One thing we see that's quite funny, that shows the American spirit, is that it was quickly noticed that while in Europe the Christmas trees were much smaller, like this one for example, around let's say 4 feet tall, the Americans, they preferred the large trees that spanned from the floor to the ceiling. That's just a funny little detail. Now, later on, of course, other things were added and some other liberties were taken from the tradition. So not only nuts, but also, for example, colorful popcorn was added, which is quite interesting. Later, when the electricity came around, the candles were usually replaced with colorful lights, and now the trees could shine for a much longer amount of time, and there wasn't the risk of burning down your house, which is quite nice. And the presents under the Christmas tree? Well, it's a very simple concept. That part doesn't really look so great, so you can very easily cover it with presents. And that's why we put presents under the tree. I have to finish decorating my own tree. And, well, Merry Christmas to everyone.